Well, good afternoon, everyone. 20 years ago, on the last Saturday in October of 2005, we had our very first Wheels for Warmth event. So you might be wondering, how did this all come about? Well, I was in the state Senate at the time, and a loyal listener of the Trading Post on WDEV on my way into work, which was a call-in buy and sell program on 550 AM radio, Monday through Saturday, first thing in the morning. And I remember at this time of year, the majority of the calls were about tires, which led me to think about all the tires I had that no longer fit the vehicle I was driving, too good to throw away, but not lucrative enough to take the time to try and sell them. So they just piled up in the garage. But I was more than willing to give them to someone for free if anyone needed them. But finding that person takes a lot of work too. Around the same time of year was the annual Karen Kitzmiller Coat Drive in Montpelier. Now, Karen was a representative in the legislature. Her husband, when she passed away, Warren took her place. They own Onion River Sports in Montpelier. So I decided to go to the event and donated a couple of winter coats. It was simple and it was brilliant. Anyone could donate or pick up a coat, no questions asked. So I thought to myself, we should do something like this with tires. 6 months later, I brought together a group of my friends to pitch the concept, which they immediately said was a dumb idea. which they also said, we're in. Let's give it a try, and Wheels for Warmth was born. I called the Solid Waste District to see if they might be willing to help. But after describing the concept and telling them I wanted to do it in 4 months, they said, it'll never work. And it would take at least a year of planning to even do it. So we're out. So we moved forward without them. The first year was interesting, to say the least, and a great learning experience for all of us who were involved. Many of them are here in this room, and they'll remember that first year. I believe it rained. We collected tires on Thursday and Friday and distributed them on Saturday, all in one location, just a quarter mile from here at Du Bois Construction. Fast forward to today. There are now 5 tire drop-off locations in Barre, Williston, Pittsford, Stowe, and Linden, and 2 sale locations, one in Barre at the Granite Museum and the other in Rutland County. And for context, I'll give you some numbers, just for comparison. In 2005, we brought in about $6,500 in tire sales, collected about $4,500 from junk tires, and received about $500 in donations from businesses and individuals. This year, we brought in about $60,000 in tire sales, collected about $25,000 from junk tires, and received about $30,000 in donations. So in total, we put back since its inception, we put back into use or repurposed about 80,000 tires and raised just under $1 million. And next year, we should exceed the $1 million mark. Impressive numbers when you think about it. Whether it's money for fuel assistance, putting good used tires on vehicles to get through the winter, or taking tires out of the waste stream, including the river corridors after a couple of floods, it's a win-win-win. But this wouldn't be possible without the Wheels for Warmth team, who have made it such a huge success, including all the volunteers from businesses around the areas, Casella, Norwich University, both the cadets and the women's hockey team, the CAP agencies, Brock, CVOEO, Capstone, NECA, and so many more along the way, like WDEV, fellow legislators, Bournes Energy, Jet Service, ADA Traffic Control, East Rise Credit Union, and AT&T. So whether it's donating your time or tires, everyone here has made a real difference for Vermonters. And as we get closer to the holiday season, I encourage everyone to find ways to help others, because I've always believed donating your time is just as impactful as donating money. But if you'd rather donate money, they'll take that too. If we look for ways to help our neighbors and communities, I believe we can turn the tide, spread kindness, tamp down the divisiveness we're seeing far too often, and make Vermont an even more special place than it is today. I appreciate everyone being here today, helping to bring awareness to this program. It's done so much good over the last 20 years. So now I'll turn it over to Justin Simpson, the Norwich University women's hockey coach, to talk about their experience with Wheels for Warmth. Justin?
Yes. Thank you. In all honesty and transparency, I am new to Vermont, new to Central Vermont, but we were really fortunate to be a part of this great event. And to just back up a little bit, I was hired April 2nd of this spring to be the new Norwich women's ice hockey head coach. And so in my preparation for that interview process, I did some research on community service events that our program had been involved with in the past. And I came across a Wheels for Warmth photo on Instagram. And so when I went through the interview process at Norwich with athletic director, student athletes, and some other members of the athletic department, they had asked me my vision for community service, community outreach, and how we wanted to be involved with the Central Vermont community. And that led to me asking questions of events we've participated with in the past and how those events have gone. And that's when I really started to learn more in depth what Wheels for Warmth was and how meaningful it was for the Vermont community. And so to fast forward a little bit, my wife and I, we moved up here full time in July. And the longer we've lived here and the more we've lived here, the more we're learning about how welcoming Vermonters are to people from out of state, how willing they are to help other Vermonters, and how willing they are to be supportive of their neighbors and of their community. And that's everything Wheels for Warmth stands for. And that's everything Norwich, our hockey program, and our athletic department stand for as well. We want to be involved with the community. We want to be supportive of our neighbors, and we want to help the Central Vermont and the Vermont state in general. And so with that, as I wrap up, one of our players, she was helping at the Wheels for Warmth, and she had turned to me and said, "Coach, this is such a great event. This is the best community service event I've ever participated in." And we've helped out at 2 different 5Ks this semester. We've helped out at the Northfield Labor Day Parade weekend. We've helped out at the parade, and we volunteer and we help coach the Black Bears youth hockey organization as well. But she said that to me because of the impact we had and the impact the Wheels for Warmth event has on community members. And just to see how happy and ecstatic community members are to get great tires at affordable prices they probably couldn't afford otherwise was really heartwarming to see. And also for our players to go and find the right size of tires for people that needed help looking, and then to carry those tires to their cars. I think it was really gratifying and satisfying for our players and our program. And so you can count on us to be there next year and for future years. So thank you so much, and Mike Casella is up next.
Thank you. So why we support Wheels for Warmth for 20 years. Commitment to the environment. Casella's core mission is protecting the environment and managing resources responsibly. Wheels for Warmth aligns perfectly with our commitment to keeping unusable tires out of the landfills, riverbanks, and illegal dump sites. Over the last 20 years, the event has significantly reduced improper disposal across Vermont. A program that delivers wins for everyone. Environmental win. Thousands of tires are recycled every year responsibly. It's a safety win. Unusable tires or usable tires are resold at affordable prices, helping Vermonters stay safe on the road. It's a community win. All proceeds go directly to heating assistance organizations supporting local families. There are a few programs that combine environmental responsibility, public safety, and community support as effectively as Wheels for Warmth. Proud to be a Vermont-born, community-led initiative. Casella believes in supporting programs created by Vermonters for Vermonters. Tires are collected, sorted, and recycled locally, supporting the economy while strengthening community ties. It's a long-standing partnership with Governor Scott and Vermont communities. From day one, Casella recognized Governor Scott's vision for a program that would address the real statewide challenges. The trust and collaboration between partners is why the event has grown into a 20-year success story, and we thank everyone that's participated in these efforts. Why we keep coming back and our why. It's the right thing to do for Vermont communities. It's more than an event, it's a lifeline for some individuals. It keeps waste out of the environment and supports responsible resource recovery. It helps families directly, something that matches Casella's values of service, problem solving, and long-term commitment to communities. And after 20 years, we see firsthand the good the program does and are proud to remain a sponsor. Thank you.
Now we'll bring up Anson Tebbets.
Thank you, Governor. Anson Tebbets with the Vermont Agency of Agriculture. We're really proud to be part of the Wheels for Warmth program. I've had the privilege of seeing this program from the very beginning, watching it grow, support those in need, and improve the environment at the same time. Over the last few years, the Agency of Agriculture and our farmers have proudly participated in the Wheels for Warmth. We have a portable machine called a tire slicer. It takes the tires that are no longer safe for vehicles, but still have some life left in them for another use on our farms. This contraption removes the sidewalls from the tires, and then those sidewalls are stacked and saved, and farmers absolutely love them. They're lighter, easy to handle, and they're used to hold down the tarps over the feed bunks. And they also have another benefit. They no longer collect water, which helps reduce mosquito breeding grounds, and the whole tires can trap that water and become places for insects to breed, like diseases like West Nile and Triple E. And part of our mission at the Agency of Agriculture is to prevent the spread of those diseases. And this simple piece of equipment helps us do that. The tire slicer travels the state. It was in Barrie again this year, and it also moves from farm to farm. We drop it off, and our farmers can use it free of charge. If anyone would like to use it, just contact the Agency of Agriculture. Patty Casey manages it and done a wonderful job with it. And more than 12,000 tires have been put to great use now at farms and also some of our nurseries. And we already have 6 farms lined up for next year. It's a small contribution, but we're proud to play a role in this incredible program, one that has raised close to $1 million, as the governor has said, to help Vermonters heat their homes and to make sure hardworking Vermonters have access to safe, affordable tires in all 5 seasons. So thank you. And we want to bring up our friend Tom Donahue from Brock. Tom?
Thank you, everyone. Governor, you said everything I was going to say, so I think I'm all done. But thank you. So let me tell you what it's like from the boots on the ground standpoint. So we're kind of where the rubber meets the road, so to speak. We help people of low income and those living in poverty in Rutland and Bennington County. We're one of 5 community action agencies statewide, and in doing so, we deal with a lot of people who are in need. They're sometimes in crisis. We help with a path forward, but oftentimes it's one of those things what we call heating and feeding, a couple of the really essential things for Vermonters that we want to help with, some of the basic needs of Vermonters. Heating is one of the things that Wheels for Warmth accomplishes. Let me tell you a quick story. My wife, Gail, worked at the Rutland Intermediate School in the office, and they had the foster grandparents program. And they had Grandma Betty come in every day to help with the students. And one day, or several days actually, she was coming in a heavy coat and looked cold. Gail finally got around to sort of asking her, Grandma Betty, are you okay? And she said, well, actually, she confessed, she hadn't had heat in her home for over 2 weeks. And Gail immediately said, why don't we get you some assistance? And the first thing she said, and I'm a lifelong Vermonter, so I get this, I get what she said, which she said, I don't want to take away from someone else. And that's very, very typical from what we hear. But we need to know that there's programs like Wheels for Warmth that's there for this purpose. And it's not about taking away from someone else. In fact, we'll do this again next year and the year after, and we'll be there for them. So the great part of the story is that she allowed Gail to call Brock Community Action. We immediately accessed Wheels for Warmth. We let her know that this program existed and why, and she was willing to go ahead and let us help her out. Very humble woman, late 70s, coming in, being a grandmother to the students every day, salt of the earth, but living in the cold. You can imagine without that heat, she probably was doing her dishes in the cold, bathing in the cold. If you don't have heat, you don't have those things either. So it was really a sad scenario. But the best part of this story is the next day she came in, the coats were gone, she had a smile on her face, she was warm again, and that's what Wheels for Warmth is all about. Thank you very much.
Okay, so now we're going to distribute the checks, and if I could call up one agency at a time, we'll do them out in front here. The rest of you can stay up here, gather around so we can have a full picture. First one's to Capstone. So this is a check for $37,000 for Capstone. Thanks very much. Just give me that. Next is the Brock. Tom?
Vicky was instrumental in this whole thing, so
Who wants this then? Who handles the money?
we'll share it. We'll hold it one side. Thank you.
And this was for $36,000.
That's amazing.
Next is the CDLEO. And this is for $25,000. Thank you. Last but not least, NECA. You're a newbie to our organization.
We are. Happy to be a part of
And
it.
this is for $10,000. All right. So at this point, we'll take questions, maybe on-topic questions at this point, and then we'll take the other questions after.
Well, Governor, one question I always have at this event is why there's so many tires in the waterways? How does that happen? They get washed in there, or people just chuck them in there?
I think it's a combination of a lot of different things. Obviously, with the floods, we ran into this. This was, as I said, up in the Northeast Kingdom. This was a first for us collecting tires up there, and they went through a couple of years of flooding. And I think a lot of the tires that were brought in had been discarded or drawn into the flooding and ended up in fields and so forth. So I think that's part of it. And the rest could be just being, the erosion of maybe some stream banks and so forth allowed for the tires to go into the streams, and a lot for the flooding as well. So it's just a combination of a lot of different things. But we do, as you remember, I think it was a month and a half ago, we had an organization in, when we were collecting tires from the streams when the drought was at its high point, I'd say, And so they were exposing a lot of those tires. So we were able to pull a lot of those out through a lot of volunteers. So that's all good too.
How many families will be helped because of this year's efforts?
I would ask the CAP agencies if they have any of that information, because we don't collect that, but maybe come right up. And anyone else?
Yeah, so we do this in combination with the State Crisis Fuel Program too. That program is tremendous. It's run by Richard Giddings, and it's very, very critical, but it's not a one-size-fits-all program. And there are federal regulations that, basically have cutoffs that some people can't then access the funding, and that's where Wheels for Warmth has more, less guardrails, let's just say, and allows us to step in. So in combination with the two, last year we did 650 households.
I think, and Tom, and maybe somebody else can answer this as well, but as I understand it, you can, it's like a cliff in terms of the amount of money you can earn in a year, and once they reach that, then they don't get the fuel assistance. So this is this gap that fills the gap in between.
Yeah, that's exactly correct. So because of that limit, and it is a great program, and we're very grateful for the state's crisis fuel program, but it does have those limits based on income and other assets. And so once you reach that, it literally can't be a dime over. And we don't want to be able to be saying no to a Vermonter in need, especially for heating and feeding, as I said before. So Wheels for Warmth is just so critical to that equation. So when you put them together, you're able to make sure that all Vermonters are covered that are in need, regardless of any restrictions, particularly on income and that income, that cliff that people talk about a lot is a real thing. And we don't want that to be the reason that someone goes without heat. And by the way, the heat can be the way a Vermonter heats their home. So the flexibility of this program is it's not just fuel necessarily. If your main way to heat your home is by wood, it could be a cord of wood, pellets, propane, kerosene, and electricity. Electricity runs your furnace. Without electric, your furnace doesn't run. You don't have the heat. Again, the flexibility of this program is critical, helps hundreds of Vermonters every winter. And those people would probably, they're finding that gap, talk about the cliff, but they're finding that gap in their lives because of medication costs, because of food costs and other things. So it comes down to that gap that the governor referred to. And that's the piece that this can fill that gap. It's so significant. I can't even begin to describe it, because we're on the front-facing part of it. We're dealing with the people. It's very palpable when you see, and when they turn to us. And that's why we get a little emotional when we talk about it, because we're dealing with Vermonters in need literally at our doorstep. And that's why we're so incredibly appreciative for this effort every year, and all of the people that the thousands of volunteer hours that you've now inspired to help make this difference. Thanks.
Governor, any sense of how many people got good quality tires that they might not be able to afford?
Again, I'm not sure in terms of, this program is open to anybody, right? You can come in and get a deal on tires. It's not income-based. And that's important for a couple of different reasons. A lot of the tires we get in don't fit some of the older models. They fit newer models. And typically, some with lower income don't have that money, or that they don't have a use for those tires. So again, collecting the money for these discounted tires is important for fuel assistance. That's why it's such a win-win-win situation. Because we need everyone to come and buy the tires, so we can have the funds to give to the CAP agencies. But I don't have any idea of who, they all benefited, but who on a lower income level benefited.
If you do the math, you're in excess of 600 families that were able to purchase sets of tires through this program this year.
Yeah, 31,000, right? And that's, in total, that's a lot of people on good tires. It's a huge benefit.
Any other questions on topic? All right, this is when it might get uncomfortable. You're welcome to stay up. Answer any of the questions they have. Do you want me down there, or would you like to come up? What do you want to do? Okay.
Staying with heating assistance, can you talk about where LIHEAP is at right now?
We're in pretty good shape with LIHEAP. Typically, this time of year, there is a short period of time where the federal funds don't come in, and we know that the fuel dealers need the money to distribute the fuel. So we typically will advance that money every year. We did the same thing this year, knowing that Congress, members of both sides of the aisle are in favor. It's in both bills, and I believe that that will be fulfilled. So we went ahead and paid that out. So they did a drawdown. So LIHEAP should not be an issue at this point.
But so it is delayed due to the shutdown. The expectation is that money will come.
Yes, that's correct.
And of course, the other side of that is the other federal program of attention is SNAP. There's been a lot of federal confusion on this with, court rulings saying that the Trump administration should release funding for SNAP. Has the state received any federal funds on SNAP as of right now?
We have not, that I know of. The money that we had, I worked with the emergency board, legislature, on forwarding. That money went out today. So we did our part for the first 2 weeks. So that fully funds them for the first 2-week period. Now we're 1 week into that at this point. So we'll have another emergency board meeting on Thursday and decide what we're going to do then, because it really does depend on what the federal government does. And again, as a reminder, at this point in time, we're just assuming we will not be reimbursed for the money that we put into this program at this point.
And if any of that partial funding, if any partial funding comes down from the federal government, would that stop the state program?
Well, it might. It depends on how much it is, right? So we've heard all kinds of things. Again, whether it's going to be fully funded or whether it's going to be partially funded. And if they come in, let's say this week, and decide they are going to forward 50% of the funding for this month, that will fulfill the next 2 weeks. So we would not have to put money in at that point. We would probably schedule another emergency board meeting a week or two later just to make sure that we keep on track. But as a reminder as well, this seems to be lost, and many of you have covered this, but we did something over and above funding the 2 weeks of SNAP, the first 2 weeks. We put in $250,000 for the Vermont Food Bank to get through this initial period. And I had a meeting with the executive directors of some of the CAP agencies, and so we could just take their temperature and see what was needed. And they said this would be incredibly beneficial to them because they're feeding people, literally feeding people during this little bit of a gap until they get the funding that we released today.
Does that mean that the dollars showed up on individuals' EBT cards?
The food, or today, the SNAP benefits?
Yes.
Yeah, the SNAP benefits today should show up on their EBT cards, correct.
How does the state plan to handle Head Start emergency funding requests?
Yeah, we're still trying to get a handle on that. It's like we're not sure. It doesn't appear that it's right immediate today, but we're analyzing that to make sure that that program continues as well. That's part of the confusion. We're really hopeful that they will come to agreement, some sort of agreement in Washington, because we're really, the political games that both sides are playing, I believe, are just putting people at risk and for no need. So hopefully they'll come to agreement and this will be over in the next few days, but time will tell.
And the state's housing authority came forward saying that they were behind by $1 million.
The Section 8 housing?
Yeah. With that?
It sounds as though with the Section 8 housing that they're okay through the month of December until January 1. So we have some time on that as well.
Governor, with, state employees making their hybrid return to work in December, I'm hearing rumors that the state will be leasing a building in Waterbury to help with capacity. Can you shed a little more light?
Yeah. As you might remember, we decided a year or two ago to close down the Cherry Street building where the health department was, AHS was there. And so we never backfilled the space, not knowing what was going to happen in the future. So to accommodate those numbers, we're going to have to lease some more space, but it's due to the sale of the Cherry Street building.
And it's just that one building in Waterbury, like from the Cherry Street building in Burlington, you're just going to focus on one other building in Waterbury?
Well, no, there'll be some other provisions along the way, but we think this will go a long ways. We think this will fulfill what we need right now immediately, especially as we try and sort out the 3 days that they're required to come back to office. And there's going to be some exemptions as well that we're considering. So until we get that all sorted out, we're not sure exactly how many we're going to need. We've had some folks say they're coming in 5 days a week. And that makes a difference because there's been some shared space that was put into the equation, and that may be a factor. So we'll see, but we think that leasing this space, it may delay this a little bit, by the way. We don't think we'll have it up and ready. We don't believe we'll have it up and ready by December 1, but we'll see.
And do you know how much the state will be using to lease that new building? I'm just wondering, between the Cherry Street and then now this new building, is that basically the same amount?
Well, it's the reason we sold the Cherry Street building was because of all the costs that were going to be needed for structural defects in the building, millions of dollars. So we thought it was better for our bottom line to not have that building. So if you add in, it's not just the money we'll be receiving from the building, but it's the ongoing maintenance that was going to be needed to continue. So I don't know, we haven't analyzed it in that way, but I would assume that it would be close to the same.
And do you know where this new building in Waterbury would be exactly?
I believe it's somewhere in Waterbury. It's not a new building, it's leased space in Waterbury, but I would assume somewhere in the downtown area.
Is the lease signed?
That I don't know.
There's been some focus on your short-term public safety plan for Burlington. Have you started to give any thought to what the long-term state involvement in the city will be?
Well, I'm hoping that we will be able to get through this 3 or 4 months and help take care of the backlog in the court system. I think that will have the most beneficial effect on the city itself, in particular those folks with addiction issues that were causing most of the problems. So I think that will be helpful, but we're working with the city. It's been a great relationship so far, and we'll see where we end up at the end of this 3 or 4 month trial period. But at the same time, we'll learn what worked, what didn't, and also what other communities might need as well to help them through some of their tough times, because some of the smaller communities are experiencing the same thing on a different scale. And it has to do with the backlog in the court system. So we might learn something from this and be able to replicate.
Do you have a sense of Beta's new appearance on the New York Stock Exchange and that $1 billion they got? Do you have a sense of what that's going to do for their footprint and employment?
I don't know specifically what they would do with the cash infusion, but I'd say it's very good news for Vermont. That means they're here to stay, and they are going to be making investments in Vermont. So I think this is, again, great news. As some of you might remember, back in somewhere a few years ago, I was at Beta when they opened up that building. And I said that, mark my word, that this could be as important to Vermont and Chittenden County as IBM was. And I think that's starting to show that it could be. Hiring, tens of thousands of engineers. But some of their challenges are the same challenges we're trying to rectify, and that's housing. They can't bring more people into the state unless they have housing. So again, we have to be working in tandem with them and other businesses here in the state to satisfy their need if we want to grow our way out of this. Grow the economy will help everyone.
Do you have a sense that you changed your executive order on the requirements for housing?
We think that's going to have some benefit, and we'll see it through, and hopefully the numbers will prove out.
But no numbers on that?
I don't have anything at this point.
Governor, do you have any thoughts on Senator Russ Ingles running against Vermont GOP Chair Paul Bain?
Yeah, I mean, I know both of them, think a lot of each of them, and we'll see what happens on Saturday when they have the vote. But again, it's either one will do a great job with the VTGOP.
When do you get your snow tires on, Governor?
Well, I think I don't have the need for them myself personally at this point, but I do know they were put on this week. All right. Thank you all very much. Appreciate you coming.